Hello, hi, and welcome, dear viewers, to this, our fifth and final prologue for Blood of the Covenant, this being titled In the Eyes of God. I, as always, will be your storyteller for this chronicle. My name is Avery, at Avery DuBois on all of the social media platforms. I'm a partnerships manager right here on the Rolling Nomads, and I style myself as something of an internet personality. And without any further ado, let's introduce our godly vampire, Syrinx.
Hello everyone, I'm Syrinx, she, her, and knight. I'll be playing Alaric Winthrop, or Father Alaric, the Lasombra.
Indeed. So without any further ado, let us delve back in the story of Father Alaric Winthrop. The year is 1992, Alaric. You've returned from your theological studies in England, and you've begun working at St. Mary, Mother of God's Cathedral here in your hometown of Charleston. The other lay priest, Father McKenna, is sweeping near the base of the raised dais upon which the altar sits. But as our focus moves through this sparsely lit stone cathedral, we see a confessional. The door is shut. Alaric, you've just sat down to take confession from someone, and you just heard the door open and shut.
Speak to me, and God shall listen to you. What weighs on your mind?
Here, forgive me, Father. It's been quite some time since my last confession. I am a glutton. I'm a parasite, Father. I don't know. I don't really know what to say, if I'm being honest. I thought I'd give this kind of thing a try, and I mean, I was raised in the faith, but that was a long time ago, and we weren't Catholic. So I'm just not quite sure what I need to say here.
You don't need to say anything, but in this moment, in this booth, with me here, God is listening to you, and you can say what it is you want to say. You can just confess silently if that is what you would wish to, but I feel like you want to enlighten your soul.
That is why people come to these things, ain't it?
To ask for forgiveness.
I'm not sure there's forgiveness for the things I did.
There's always forgiveness.
I take joy in watching the failures of my fellow man, Father. In fact, I actively take steps to crush them. I delight in the fall of the wicked and righteous alike. It's a sort of perverse hunger, I guess.
Hunger is an urge, but we as mankind get many urges. God put a lot of things on this earth, and not all of them are good. Some of them are tests to us. Sometimes we need to pass a test. Do you seek forgiveness for this hunger?
No, not really. I just want to receive my penitence. That's all. I'm not sorry for the things I feel. I know there's no forgiveness for the things that I do. It's just... They're just things that need to be done. And I'm the only one with the wherewithal to stick it out.
You come to sit here. You speak your mind. You talk about taking all of this on your own shoulders. Even if you do not seek forgiveness, just for the fact that you are here seeking penance, God will give you.
Aren't you supposed to be the one that metes out forgiveness?
No. But I have faith that God is a forgiving one, even to those who do not actively seek it, yet come here to talk to him. Regardless.
I didn't come here to talk to him, Father. You hear the seat creak and the door open and then shut.
I do the sign of the cross. And I do a small prayer for this person, whoever it was that came in here, that they might find their way and that God might forgive them even though they do not know that they seek it yet.
It's that point that there's a small rapping on the door to your side of the confessional.
I'm... Okay. I will open and see what I'm needed for.
You see Father McKenna, a little bit younger than you, not too much. He's kind of got sandy brown hair, very intense green eyes, but he always seems to be wearing a smile on his face, though the brief wafting of the smell of a distillery off of him constantly probably helps in that regard. He smiles, he says, Hey, Father Winthrop, I was just, checking the time and everything. Ain't you got a meeting to run in like an hour or so?
What? Yeah, you are most right. I do have a meeting to go to, thank you. I sometimes get lost in track of time. Are you good to be here alone? Are you good to take over?
Yeah, I'm always good. Lark, pardon my candor. You can, drop the whole pious Englishman thing with me. It's alright, it's just two of us.
Thank you, Colin, but there is no facade to this, and I would hope it's the same for you.
Oh, some people need a little bit of... They need an act to, really buy in to the whole thing, Sometimes, I imagine it's kind of like... Well, I imagine it was kind of like the first person off one of them boats on D-Day, They probably just needed a little push to get them onto the beach and out of the ocean. Does that make sense?
Sure, whatever you're saying is making sense, but I
know you're from
We
here,
all-
right? Like, the Archdiocese has papers on you.
Yes, I know.
All right. Well, look, I don't want to press. I don't want to make it weird between us. I feel like we've had a really nice working relationship, and I really like the way your cologne always smells when you come in here.
You do realize that going someplace for some time that it can change someone's accent, or have you always stayed here in Charleston?
Yeah. Never really felt the need to leave. I mean, I just went to seminary up in Institute up the road a little ways, and
And that is perfectly fine, and that is your path.
Yeah. Do you need
My
anything?
accent is not fake.
All right. Oh, well, okay. All right. Sorry. Didn't realize I pressed a button there. But hey, I apologize, Father. I'll do 5 Hail Marys on the way back, just for good luck's sake. And,
You're fine, Colin. But I really I should get through that meeting.
All right. Ms. Williams brought by a casserole. It's in the kitchen if you need to grab a bite before you head to your meet.
Oh, bless her heart. I will, actually. I'm sure I have a few minutes to spare. Can't go there on an empty stomach. It'll only make matters worse.
Oh, yeah, I get that. Well, right. I'm just gonna keep cleaning, and then I'll leave the door to the rectory unlocked, but I'm gonna lock the chapel doors on the way out so that y'all can just head down into the basement from the rectory. Be quicker that way.
I appreciate you looking out. If it weren't for you, I would have probably sat there for quite a while longer.
Yeah, I kind of got that feeling. I heard the door shut, but I didn't really see the guy who was leaving. But I don't know, when he came in, he had a weird vibe.
Some people just don't know what they're looking for yet. And we gotta give them time.
Oh, Lord, do I understand that. He crosses himself and
I'm gonna go
nods to
get
you
a bite of that casserole.
Yeah, and he goes to start locking up the doors, and as you head back into the kitchen and grab the a piece of the tuna casserole.
Tuna casserole?
Yeah. Your face. I love it.
Okay.
Heat it up, head down to the basement where these meetings are usually held, start getting your chairs up and everything. Give us a little peek into Alaric's mind as a man setting up for this kind of this Narcotics Anonymous meeting. What does this mean to Alaric?
He truly does enjoy his piece of casserole. I think it's very nice from this lady to drop it off for them. And as he has done so many times before, he methodically gets to putting out the chairs for everyone, setting drinks ready, and it has been a little bit difficult the past few weeks. Ever since he came back to Charleston, there has been... It was all easier when you are in a place where nothing reminds you of people, of places, of things you went through. And being back in Charleston, being around some of the people that he was around before he left to England, there's some painful reminders there. And despite being surrounded by a community and by people who work together with him, the longer he has been back home, there is a loneliness, and he is trying his best to fill that loneliness and to pray and speak above when he feels it. But in a way, these meetings do help him, or he tries to convince himself that these meetings help him feel a little bit less alone in his struggles.
Sure.
But yeah.
Why don't you go ahead as you're getting these chairs down from this like wall hanging rack that they're on. Why don't you go ahead and give me a strength and athletics?
2 successes.
As you lift a chair off, you see that the rack begins to sway towards you, coming off of the wall. And you manage to kind of put your hand up and hold it up and start forcing it back. And then another hand reaches around from behind you and steadies it against the wall.
Thank you. That could have been dangerous, and I turn around to see who it is.
You see a man who really kind of, in a way, takes you back to your childhood a little bit. He's got a styled black pompadour, a plain white t-shirt, a black leather rocker jacket over the top, plain blue jeans, and some about ankle-high leather boots on. No tattoos, no piercings, clean shaven. Very much reminds you of the kind of the greaser movement a little bit as he leans it back up against the wall. He's very square-jawed, very kind of ironclad features. His eyes are a very light blue. He says, yeah, no worries. I mean, sorry, I came down in a rush, but I saw that tipping over, and I didn't want you to turn into Father Pancake on the floor here.
No, I do appreciate that. I wouldn't want to be a pancake, especially here where everyone would be coming into the hall and seeing that first thing before the meeting. That would not be good.
Talk about triggering a relapse.
Yes, it's way better to avoid that. Thank you for your help. You're quite strong.
Oh, yeah, no, it's mom with a baby and a flipped over car strength, you know?
I've seen you before at the meetings, although I've never heard you talk.
Yeah, I come to these meetings for me, but I sponsor somebody in AA across town, and we all meet on the same nights, so I end up having to bail out. And
get it.
I mean,
honestly, it's a good deed.
And he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a 10 years clean chip. It's like, I got a pretty good handle on my stuff, and it's more important for me to come here and feel the community of it, and then go help my sponsee across town. I felt bad about bailing out the last few times, so I asked him to come here tonight so that I could have enough time to speak. He just got his 1-year chip, so I feel like we're rocking pretty steady, so figured I'd come out this way.
Bless your heart. It's wonderful to see that and to talk to someone who has made such progress. I do hope to be there myself as well. It's a rough path sometimes, But it helps to have someone supporting you, just as you are supporting your friend.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, I don't mean to be an ass, but I had hoped that it was just kind of a stereotype that all priests were on the liquor. Is that?
It is. I hope it is very much a stereotype. Although in my past, I have been that stereotype, and I'm wishing to go back from it. Technically, I wasn't a priest yet when it happened, but
Oh well, see, don't count.
yes, to get on the path, someone supported me and put me here in these meetings, and I also still like to go to them because they help form a sense of community and
Sure.
find others who are also fighting.
Yeah. Well, and he holds his hand out. Name's Hank Coulter.
Oh, he puts out a hand and gives like a firm grip, and he says, Alaric Winthrop. It's a pleasure to meet you, Hank.
Yeah.
Can I offer you any of the drinks as we wait?
Well, let's finish getting these chairs down, and he starts grabbing chairs and helping you get set up the rest of the way for this meeting.
Yeah. Alaric would also just continue to put the chairs up, probably knowing that they don't have a lot of time yet because he did spend a little time eating that casserole upstairs.
Sure. And as you get closer to finishing up, more and more people begin to filter in. And there's a question that I feel the need to ask as the meeting starts and people begin to speak, and as you open the floor for people to speak. Is there a certain point in these meetings where Alaric kind of checks out? At least mentally? Or does Alaric stay pretty sharp?
He really does listen to these people and stays sharp and tries to actively be there for them. But there have been times where his own mental state gets in the way of fully being able to be there, and he does feel guilty about it afterwards. This feeling of not having been able to give what he wanted to give. But yeah, he actively tries, and I feel like today, through the talk that they just had with Hank, I feel like he is trying to be a little, like, actively there the whole time, and especially because he was talking about the friend that he was supporting, it does help to base him there.
Sure.
But yeah, it has happened in the past that he just slips out a little bit.
Give me a composure and resolve. Just to see how well you keep face as you kind of slip in and out of focus.
4 successes.
Okay. You're pretty confident in your ability that you looked attent and alert and engaged. And eventually, a few hours later, the meeting ends. People shake hands, grab a drink on the way out. Except you see Hank and another man beginning to fold up chairs and help put chairs away, staying behind.
He, even though he was able to remain composed, I think the last confession he had kind of messed with his head a little bit, where it's just a tiny whisper of uncertainty, and when the person was talking about not there being no forgiveness for what he was doing and stuff, it's always a tiny whisper that starts something bigger in you, and he managed to not show it to the group. But it was definitely a difficult night to grasp with his own struggle still, and try to be a good image to these other people, even though when he was just talking about it to Colin, about a facade and all of it, he feels a little guilty for having to put up a facade sometimes towards these people. But if he notices that people are staying behind and helping clean up, he smiles and is grateful and starts helping them and says, thank you so much for helping. Is this your friend you were talking about before?
Yeah. This is Martin.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Martin. I'm Alaric. Thank you for staying behind and helping.
The other guy shakes his head and smiles. He says, you can just call me Marty. I don't know why Hank always calls me Martin.
Well then, Marty. I appreciate the help, and how was tonight for you?
I mean, I've always kind of seen Hank in my environment, and around folk, like me that struggle with alcohol and not the drugs, and so to get to see him in his sort of environment here, is really, it makes what Hank does for me that much more important, I think.
It is a true pleasure to find a friend who is so helpful to you in your struggles. I can imagine the support you feel and the warmth you feel from it. I hope tonight also helped you a little bit. In whatever way that feels best for you. It's why we do these, right? To try and bit by bit get forward.
He nods, kind of mulling it over, and you see the gears turning. As you turn to look at Hank, he locks eyes with you for a moment. He says, "Be silent, stand still." And you feel your body turn rigid, unable to speak. And he turns and just snaps in front of Marty's face. And you see Marty's eyes kind of glaze over. And Hank looks to you. Do you believe there's a purpose to all this suffering? Or is it just God being cruel and having a great time watching us grovel and ask him to solve it? Source and solution. You can talk, and you feel your jaw unclench.
We all walk a path that is made for us. If all things were easy, then life would just pass us by. We wouldn't be able to realize it or live it. There's a suffering that makes us feel alive and know there is a reason to fight for a better future.
Turns his head. Gets a very wicked smile about his face. It's almost sharp at the corners like a blade. Sure seems like your God has a lot of time to be thinking about every single human fucking being. What reason do you have to believe that he'd fucking answer you now?
Because most people, Hank, they don't take the time to ask.
See his brow furrows. There's this momentary spark of rage that is recognizable. He says, "Let's see how quick it takes God to answer you then." And he bites into your neck. Alaric, in this moment, we're going to take you back to the last time you may have felt this level of ecstasy, this level of joy. The year's 1981. The car windows are down on your Trans Am. The wind blows through your hair, a balmy 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Driving to the lake with Clara. She reaches over and kind of smacks your thigh. "Now, we're going camping for the whole weekend. You promised. You said we'd go out all weekend, Alaric."
I did, and it's just so nice to see you so happy about this. How could I say no?
I mean, I just got a way about me.
How dare you use that against me? You know it works every time.
Well, maybe if you didn't fold like a cheap suit.
I'd like to believe that because I fold so easily, it's one of the ways why you stick around.
No, one of the ways I stick around is the way you fold me up so easy, hot shot. She kind of pokes you in the ribs while you drive.
He blushes so hard. He's shy about that. He's like, well, was there any reason you wanted to go to this lake specifically?
Well, now that you ask.
I'm always interested.
That's where my daddy proposed to my mom. She kind of looks at you very pointedly.
You have struck me silent. I should not be surprised at you being so direct about all of this.
Hey, you were the one when we got together. You said you wanted a woman that knew what she wanted.
It's what I so admire about you.
Is that the only thing? And she kind of bats her eyelashes at you.
I could speak thousands of nights and hundreds of poems, but yet the words wouldn't be enough about how much I admire you and what you do.
Just tell me I'm pretty, college boy.
You're gorgeous.
She smiles and
I'm happy to
leans
take
over.
you here.
She smiles and leans over the center and kisses you on the cheek. And begins to kiss down your neck.
He's smiling and blushing, and he is fiddling in his pocket with a small little box with a ring in it, and he is just amazed at how she would know. and he just takes a hand and puts it across on her thigh and gives a little squeeze.
And with the feelings of those lips against the side of your neck, you're brought back to this moment of feeling the life draining from your body, but every sense of pleasure flooding over you, euphoria unadulterated. You recall a trip that you took in seminary to see the Sistine Chapel, always wondering what Michelangelo felt as he reached out and touched the hand of God, and this has to be it. as the life fades from your body. The last thing you hear as Hank drops your body to the floor, you see him cut his own wrist. As you're blinking out, he says, "I will not commend your soul to your fucking maker. You don't get to cash out this easy. I told you, boy. I came here to speak to you. As you die, there is a single titular moment in your death where everything stands still. And in this moment, Alaric, you find yourself in a familiar place. You find yourself in the train station, back in London, except it's empty. And there's a man, curly, thick, black hair. Skin is a deep brown. There's a gentle smile on his face. His eyes are warm like honey. A halo of light behind his head. I'm sorry you didn't get more time.
Not your place to feel sorry for me. No one should. It's my own burden to carry.
If we would have just had a little bit more time, this could have been it. Damn it all. You had such potential in you. Only to be snuffed out by one of them greedy creatures. One of them haints.
And I don't believe I'm following you.
I was meant for you. We are bonded, thee and me. Across 100 lifetimes, though you may see me as a brother now, our bond stretches much deeper.
I don't remember you being here. Have we met before? I'm sorry if I forgot.
In another lifetime, we've met a few times. It's alright. The next part's hard. It's gonna hurt.
I'm grateful for God letting us meet again then.
My sweet boy. He reaches out and he takes your face in his hands. He kisses you on the lips, warm and full of life. Full of sorrow, but also full of joy. He says, I'll wait for you in that far-flung field of grass. It's warm there, and I'm sorry you're not going back to a place that's warm, Alaric. My sweet.
What's your name?
You'll remember. Just not this time. My sweet summer boy. And with a racking of pain, Alaric, your eyes open. The fangs in your mouth descended. Your head is pounding. As a cool hand reaches down and takes your face. Hank crouches down to be on your level. You feel this strange attachment. This... You need him. As he smiles. It's all right.
I reach a hand up and I lay it on my face. But I'm shaking my head with I should feel repulsed. His hands. I lean into his hand a little bit more, but my eyes are confused and judging in a way. It feels nice though.
He says, I have clutched
but
you.
It shouldn't.
Hank says, I have clutched you from the jaws of your perdition. Is this not what you had hoped your God would do for you?
What happened? I feel like I have a fever.
Oh, you very
I don't
certainly
remember
do
getting
not.
here.
You're among the kindred now, Alaric. We are the descendants of Cain. We are vampires.
But and he has like the instinct to lean closer, but he tries to fight a little bit and tries to actively lean back. Did you where am I? Did you kidnap me? What are you talking about?
As your gaze kind of comes into focus, you see that you're still in the basement of the church. And you see that behind Hank still stands Marty. Hank will reach forward and pull the collar off of your neck, the white priest's collar. And he dabs at your face. As he pulls it away, what you thought were hot tears on your face, you now see all over your white collar. Stains of blood.
Could you... And he scrambles back away from Hank. Stay away from me, please. And the moment he scrambles back, there's this immediate urge to get closer again and to feel that warmth again and that belonging. But he's trying to fight it because this feels wrong. Feels so wrong.
It's in this moment that you feel the hunger rip through you. Please put yourself at 4 hunger. You feel it now, don't you?
I'm so thirsty.
Come closer and let me know thee better, man.
Whatever you are, I don't. I want to be closer, but I don't. I should. Please just leave. Just.
You have no choice. I would like you to roll me a composure and resolve, please.
1 success.
That is 7 successes with a messy crit, so Hank's hunger will increase. He says, "No, you will come here." And before you know it, you're up on your feet, moving across the room towards him. He reaches down and he takes Martin's wrist in his hand. He reaches out and grabs you by the jaw, and in this strange mix of perceived gentleness and force, he kisses you sweetly on the lips. You can still taste your blood on his lips. It's divine, it's everything. And as your hands begin to snake around his body with almost a will of their own, grasping hungrily like you haven't grasped at the human form for decades, you feel warm flesh come between the two of your lips. And biting is almost instinct. In fact, it is exactly instinct. I would like one more composure and resolve roll, if you wouldn't mind.
2 successes.
As Hank is only going to pull 1 mote of hunger. Lark, you unfortunately take the other 4. And as you feel, of course, all of this blood is sweet, slaking that hunger that had just ripped through you like a bullet. It's that titular final moment before you pull away. That is just like the warmth of that man kissing you in the train station. It is divine. As his body falls to the floor, Hank smiles as he holds your face in his hand. You'll never forget him, the first one you kill. It stays with you.
I look down at the man. And I look back up at Hank with this mix of confusion and a growing anger. But then I'm still holding my hand on his waist, and I don't want to let go. What are you? What did you what did I do? I should have. I'm filled with these urges. I
made you like God, Alaric. Decisive,
That's...
with the power over life and death.
No
and
one
the
is my
knowledge
god.
of good and evil. I am your god now, boy.
I tried to step away from him.
Can make a rouse check for him really quick. It's like the entirety of the world fades out around him. Or is at least beginning to. Go ahead and roll me a... There's usually no contested roll here, but I want to give you one. We're going to say composure and resolve.
6 successes.
Okay. You feel this pull initially. And then you feel yourself shrug it.
I'm able to dislodge my hand from him and take a step back. No. You are not God. You... whatever it is you claim to be, you are not God. And I don't know how you just... I don't know how this man just died and how you made me do that, feel that, but you whatever you are, it is not divine. It is not from God.
Is he not the font from whom all blessings flow?
Killing someone is not a blessing.
You killed him. I did not. But if you come with me... He holds his hand out. I'll make sure you never do again.
Why should I believe any of the demon's words you are whispering to me?
I'm not a demon, Alaric. I'm just a man who had a life and had that life taken from him. Same as you. Or did you not? Or did your life not end when that little honey of yours flipped your Trans Am?
Get out of my church. And he takes another step back. You don't you dare whisper about her.
I will hurt you if I have to, but I don't want to.
I need you out of my church. I will call the police.
I own the fucking police, Alaric.
Whatever you are, please just get out.
Still with his hand held out. I will hurt you if I have to, but I don't want to. I'll make you strong. I'll show you the real sinners in this world, Alaric.
He wipes at his chin where he felt something dripping, and looking at it, he sees the blood that mirrors it now. And as he looks down at it, he stumbles for a second. It just... I do not want to. It's almost like he's convincing himself. I do not want to touch you again. Just go.
Yes, you do. And there's nothing wrong with that.
He, after having asked multiple times for this person to leave, and then they're not leaving, they're just standing there staring him down, and the confusion, it just gets overtaken by anger, and he stops and looks at him and just says, "If you don't leave, I will fucking make you leave my church. Get out now."
With 11 successes on Arms of Ahriman, the hand he had held out becomes a fist, and tendrils of the shadows in this room lash out and wrap around your arms and legs and lift you into the air, one wrapping around your mouth. As they pull you towards him, you see a profound look of sadness cross his face. You are capable of so much more than this. You bent, and you survived. You never broke. And he opens one finger, and one of the tendrils unwraps from your arm. His other hand reaches out and puts it on his face. Tell me this does not feel right. Tell me you don't feel the warmth of my blood in your veins. If you can sit there and look me in the eye and tell me that you don't know that you're safer with me, I'll leave. You can wait for the sun, burn to ash. But you look me in my eye and tell me you cannot feel the call of the blood. That you cannot feel what you know to be true, that I will protect you, and I will bring you up, and I will make you into something strong. Someone who can save folk, if you want. He opens a second finger, and the tendril around your mouth moves away. You tell me that you don't want me, Alaric.
He almost envisions himself saying, I do want you, but instead of giving in to those urges that he doesn't understand, he says, "Get out of my church, monster."
We are monsters together, thee and me. As the shadows swell around you, opening into a portal into the abyss as both of you drop through. This is where we'll take our quick tech and bio. We'll see you on the other side, dearlings. Welcome back, dear viewers. We just finished our little tech and bio. We're feeling great. We hope you're feeling great too. Please take this moment to check in with yourselves, because your mental health and well-being is just as important to us as our own. So as we continue, the rest of that night is a blur. Alaric, it's these strange moments of craving intensity, craving closeness, and yet being so horrified. It's Hank showing you how to dispose of a body. Hank taking the driver's license out of that wallet and handing it to you. Telling you never forget his face, never forget his name. Do not do him the dishonor of forgetting. Before, as the sun rose, you died again. No dreams comforted you in this sleep. Cradled close to Hank's own body. Waking up as the sun went down, to Hank staring into your open eyes. Speaking, that's even more of a blur. Before you truly come to in a vehicle in the back of a limousine, Hank sitting across from you. So, you have to be introduced to the rest of the Camarilla. That is our organization. Some folk call us the Ivory Tower. We believe that it's best for all of kindred kind to maintain a veil. We call it the Masquerade. You alright? You look sick?
I'm allowed to speak.
I am speaking to you, so yes.
I am not doing fine, thank you for asking, though. He's staring out of the window as much as he can. But it's difficult to not look at Hank.
You don't have to be ashamed. This feeling that you're feeling towards me, it'll die if I let it. Is that what you want?
Suppose it's... Yes, I suppose it's what I want. Among other things. But he's saying that, but it's not really true.
Lark, there's something you learn as a member of our clan, Clan La Sombra, the bloodline you come from, my bloodline. Never apologize for what you want. There is no reason for you to be ashamed of your desire.
He looks like he wants to respond to this, but not finding any polite way to. He stays silent, and there is just a low seething in his gaze as he looks sideways to Hank and then just looks anywhere else and just doesn't answer.
We're going to a place called Elysium. No kindred is permitted to use powers there unless by the behest of our prince. The prince is the leader of the Camarilla here, and our prince's name is Mariana Jessup. Everything you say and do inside of Elysium reflects upon me, do you understand? Even outside of Elysium, until you are released from your accounting, where I teach you what it is to be what we are. Make sure you understand the demands being made of you. Lark, I need you to understand, if you fuck this up for me, I will have to punish you. My name carries weight and esteem. You come from an auspicious bloodline.
You cannot punish me more than God is already punishing me.
God has not begun to punish you in a way that matters. I can. I don't want to. Don't force my hand.
You say you don't want to, yet all you have done to just that.
The taste of my lips was a punishment. My caress as you died and were born again into this new night was a punishment.
I feel like he is leaning forward a little bit as Hank is speaking. But then it just stops. It is in the eyes of God, so it is in mine.
I'd tear his eyes out for making you think that this is punishment. And therein lies the heart of Clan Lasombra. When someone punishes my child, I'll take their fucking hands.
He resigns himself to quiet, silent treatment again.
Yeah. Leaving me in the dark. It's alright, you'll come around.
It's not like I can say what I want to say.
What, you want to go on about? You want to go on about, if your right eye offends you, then pluck it out kind of bullshit to me? I gave you the key to every chain that has ever held you down, and you spit in my face. But it's alright. Unlike your god, I don't keep a ledger. Spit in my face all you like, son. We're going to the Clay Center. More specifically, the Juliet Art Museum. It's where Mariana holds her court. You've heard of the Clay Center, Alaric. It's kind of an amalgam of museums and like there's the Avampado Discovery Museum, the Caperton Planetarium and Theater, of course the Juliet Art Museum, and the Meyer Foundation Performance Hall. It's kind of a big complex of science and art and mathematics. Hank reaches out and touches your face. I've been much kinder to you than my sire was to me. Don't make me regret it. Please.
I would appreciate it if you did not touch me again.
Your eyes betray the lie that your mouth spits. Pulls his hand away as the car comes to a stop. The driver gets out, comes around and opens the door. Hank steps out and offers a hand back to you.
He tries to step out on his own.
And as you stand in front of the gates into the Clay Center and begin to walk, it's a short walk, maybe 10 minutes, to the Juliet Art Museum, where it seems like the exhibit of the week, the traveling exhibit, is the works of Goya. And you see that there are, strangely enough, 2 armed guards standing in front of the Juliet. And they look Hank up and down, look you up and down, open the doors inside. The next few hours are a blur of Hank interacting very superficially. No one speaking to you. But Hank introducing you and speaking in grandiloquent response before eventually you are brought into a room, the room specifically for the traveling exhibit. The works of Goya. You see Saturn eating his son. On the wall, you see the skeleton smoking a cigarette. These classic, beautiful, dark, contrasting art pieces. And in this room, Hank steps away from your side and goes to stand in front of the painting of Saturn eating his son. And you see in the semicircle around you are a few different kindred. You see a stout, sharply dressed young African-American man, golds and blacks frequent about his dress. He also has a cane in his hand, lacquered oak wood and a brass knob. His hair's curly and dark, and on this night he has the left half of his head shaved, and it hangs in a flop over the side. And he has a pair of gold-framed aviators with crimson lenses on. You see a sight that surely may shock you a little bit. You see a creature, Alaric. His form is bent and twisted. His arms and his fingers are so long that his standing posture is much like that of our more primitive ape cousins on his knuckles. His back legs are shortened, compressed, bent, bow-legged. His face is a mess of fangs and leathery, bat-like skin. His fingers so long that they have 2, maybe 3 extra knuckles. You see a stout Native American woman. Round facial features, long black hair, honey gold eyes, somehow a smile despite all of this. In a flannel, some utilitarian pants, high boots. You see an Asian woman, eyes sharp like daggers, a small scowl thin across her face, beautiful floral dress. A woman, looking very much like what you imagine rock stars look like. She has a denim cut-off vest that has a bunch of patches all over it, a raccoon skin cap on, tall boots, just a bra underneath the vest. Another man, African American. His left arm is missing at the elbow. His other arm has burn scars all the way up the forearm and the hand. His hair's closely shaved. And finally, standing at the center of them is an African American woman, tall, broad-shouldered, powerful looking. Her long curly hair has been styled into braids. She has a gold dress on, designer heels, bright hazel eyes. She turns her head a little bit, looks at you. Hank, would you care to introduce your child, please? Hank nods. This is my child, Alaric Winthrop. She's a priest. Our organization, shall we say, is sorely lacking for fingers on the pulse in the church. I brought the dossier that I had written up on him as consideration to all of you a month ago. And now I bring him before you freshly changed. Mariana nods. The woman with these box braids, she says, I'm your prince. It's customary to kneel.
He is standing there with just barely concealed seething anger in his eyes, and he does not want to kneel for whatever this creature is in front of him. I will politely decline to kneel, if that is all right with you, miss.
She looks over to Hank and then takes a few steps towards you, leaning into your ear. That wasn't a request. It's your first night, though. You get one freebie. Now kneel.
He, assuming that he was allowed to just weird him, he would clutch his rosary.
Sure.
And would just say, I stand firmly in my resolve, so help me God Almighty.
She leans back and she looks you in the eyes. She says, kneel. And you do. She looks back over her shoulder. You're gonna need to break this one, Hank. But I think I like him.
Just looking up at her.
Well, as I said, I am your prince, Mariana Jessup. You already know your sire, the primogen of Clan La Sombra here in Charleston, Hank Coulter. That lovely creature over there, and she gestures to the monster who raises its hands up and curls its spidery fingers waving at you. Says, that is the Nosferatu primogen, Badger. Badger kind of slinks forward and like sniffs the back of your neck. You smell like shame, kid. Oh, man. Oh, get a load of this one. Don't worry. I know a lot about shame.
God will help you find your penance.
Oh, damn. He doesn't think my face card's penance. And Mariana gives him a very stern look, and he shuffles back off to his place. She points to the African-American man with one arm and the burns up his arm. Says, this is the primogen of Clan Malkavian. His name is Wayland Shackelford. And Wayland just nods, looks you over. And you hear a voice in your head. Says, don't worry, son. God hasn't abandoned you yet. I have faith. I have faith in you. It's all just a song and dance. Song and dance. Song and dance.
He is getting more and more ticked off by hearing this voice in his head. I'm assuming he is still kneeling, though. He's waiting for the charade to keep going.
Mariana gestures to this woman who looks like a rock star. She says, This is the Toreador Primogen of Charleston, Miss Maxine Stone. And you see that there's a look of kind of disgust, maybe about the situation, maybe with just you being around. She says, though if you ever feel a need to refer to me, you can just call me Max. She gestures to the Native American woman. This is my sheriff, Scarlet Moon. And Scarlet nods. Also with a very unsure look about her. He says, and finally, him there, gesturing to the rather fashionably dressed African-American man, is the Bruja Primogen, Balthazar Young. And he nods. And he looks to Mariana. For Christ's sake, Mari, let him up. Give the man some fucking dignity. She just turns her head. I don't think I will, but your compassion is noted, Balthazar. Mariana looks down to you. Has your sire explained to you what happens next, Alaric?
Tell me what happens next, then.
You'll be held for an accounting. You and Hank will be very close until Hank believes you've finished your education on what it is to be kindred. From that place, we can begin to work. She says, I'm so sorry, I always forget the newest member of our court. And she gestures to the Asian woman. She says, this is my scourge. Clan Bonahu Hakim, Miss Anjali Bui. And Anjali looks over you. Goes over and whispers something in Mariana's ear. Mariana whispers something back, and it looks like the two of them are getting heated for a moment before eventually Anjali backs off. She smiles. It seems there is another child that needs to be introduced. And Anjali leaves the room for a moment, the room in dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. Before another man comes and is put on his knees beside you, with Anjali standing behind him. This man is kind of short of stature, thin. He has curly brown hair. It's tied into a tight bun at the back of his head. It's average height, slight build, comfortable clothes. And Anjali says, this is my child, Keziah Thomas. He has been judged and found wanting. So I've given him a chance for penitence. And they go through introductions again. As the two of you are knelt beside each other. Mariana smiles. I'll give you each a moment to speak now. We want to get to know you better. Figure out where you fit in the ivory tower.
There are so many things that are racing through Alaric's head right now. All of them, just in general, at all of these creatures. Disgust, hatred, then absolute annoyance and fury as this woman called out that this other person knelt beside him was judged and found wanting, and he has to find penance now, talking again like some fucking god. And all of this fury is writhing inside of him, and it can't get out. And all instead that can pass his lips. Just, if it were up to me, I would not be present, though by all means, I do not know where I best fit in.
You can offer us insights into the church. Their move-ins and shake-ins. You know, there are certain organizations of hunters which come from your religious background. Folks that, well, for no other reason than we are what we are, would want to see us dead. And that just can't come to pass. So through your sire, you will relay to me on a weekly basis the movings within your church. There are benefits to this, Alaric. Holy St. Mary's is one of my favorite cathedrals here in town. My clan, Clan Ventru, we are, you could say, the money men of Kindred Society. I think you could probably use a new groundskeeper, maybe some new equipment, maybe a donation to your social projects. Let you keep your soup kitchen open 7 days a week instead of 5. What do you think about that, Alaric? Think that works fancy for you?
Instead of saying what you want to say here, which is, I don't want any from you, you filthy monster. He instead says, I appreciate the offer.
Good. Then it seems we've reached a bargain. And you?
He's just, yeah.
She gestures to Keziah. What can you offer me? Keziah just looks up at her. Nothing. I don't have anything to give. But Aunt Charlie tells me that I'm gonna have to learn. So once I know what I have to offer, you'll know too. She just kind of cocks her head. What a curious little creature. I kind of want to step on it. But I appreciate your candor. Well, Hank, Aunt Charlie, I accept your offerings to the Camarilla. Let the record state, and she kind of looks over to Maxine, since our dear Harpy didn't feel like showing up to court tonight. Let the record state that I have accepted these offerings to the Camarilla on behalf of Primogen Hank Coulter and Scourge on Charlie Bui. And in return, they shall each receive a minor boon from me. Max nods. Mariana just shakes her head. Sounds like both of the two you got your work cut out for you. This meeting of court is adjourned. Hank, Aunt Charlie, if I could have a word. You can just leave your child here for a moment. Scarlet, you'll make sure they aren't disturbed, won't you, honey? Scarlet nods. and Anchali and Hank follow Mariana off into a side room. Everyone leaves, and Scarlet comes up from behind you, Alaric, kind of puts her hands under your shoulders, begins to lift you up as she whispers in your ear. I'm real sorry about Mariana. That wasn't kind, what she did.
The moment he can, steps away from this woman and her touch and says, I am sure that I do not need kindness from the likes of you.
I wish you didn't think that way. She gives you a very kind of wry smile and walks out the door, shutting it behind her, and then you hear her lean her body weight against the door from the outside. Keziah stands up, swell, looks at you. You're pretty new to this too, huh?
He is balling his fist as hard as he can around his rosary. The only outlet of his rage. I suppose from what I heard that you were brought into this at the same time.
Yeah, Anchali made me a few weeks ago. I can tell you're mad, you can hit me if you want. I don't really mind.
I'm afraid I can't do anything except for being polite.
I mean, wouldn't it be
No,
polite
if I wanted to?
If I asked you to, it would be impolite to refuse, right?
Your maker also talks like God, and it's vile.
I mean, Anchali says that that's our clan. It's our clan's job, is to judge.
It is no one's job to judge except for God. And whatever monster claims to have that as a job just proves what the heathen they are, and what words they take into their mouth that are not theirs to use.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore. Just kind of getting swept up in it, I think.
Think that makes it better that you are swept up in this.
I don't know, but I'm glad I'm not alone.
You are.
No.
As am I.
No, we're not.
I do not want anything to do with you or any of them.
I didn't want this either. We're here now.
If you are looking for condolences or pity or comfort, you will not find it in me.
I don't think I'm the one who needs any of those things. The door opens back up, and Mariana and Anchali and Hank come back into the room. Hank and Anchali both bite into their own wrists. Hank grabs you by the back of your hair, tilts your head back, and bleeds into your mouth. That ecstatic. This isn't like the blood from that human. This is, again, it's like touching the font of life. Warmth floods through your body. Your extremities are buzzing. Hank's blood is thick and potent and fiery. And as he licks the wound, on Charlie doing the same, you feel even more tied to him. Your whole being aches for his touch. Even as rough as these fingers are in your hair, they're at least something holding you fast. When the rest of your world just fell out from underneath you, these hands at least will hold you to your course. Mariana looks between Hank and Anjali. You'll keep them bound for their accounting. Anjali, yours showed a lack of spirit. Hank's, yours showed too much. You will make them into what they need to be, or I will destroy them. And Hank nods. Anjali nods. Mariana says you're dismissed. And Hank loops your arm into his and begins to walk. Even just your arm bent around his is ecstatic. And he snaps, and you feel the submerge directive beginning to fade. Now that you're back in the car.
I despise you.
Not nearly as much as I despise myself. You'll get over it.
He doesn't say it, but he, in his mind, just doubts if he ever will.
Come here.
He gets closer.
Hank lifts you up and pulls you into his lap. His hands on your face. I didn't want to have to do that. But now I have to until your accounting's over, because you showed too much spirit. We may as well at least stop this dance. From the moment we met, you wanted me, Alaric. I could see it in your eyes.
I could never want a monster like you.
And yet, he reaches up and he kisses the side of your neck. Soft, it's sweet, almost gentle. We are bound, thee and me.
With blood tears streaming down his cheeks, he just leans his forehead slightly against his. God will give me a sign, and I will be your final judgment. I promised it to you. monster that you are. Your deliverance will come.
Shows great ambition that you think that one day that will be by your hand. And he kisses you hard on the mouth, laying you back down against the seat of this limousine in a flurry of disrobing. We jump forward in time for a moment to the year 2014. In that time, Balthazar Young and the rest of the Bruja were purged by Mariana Jessup, summarily slaughtered. The Tremere Chantry burned down. Sheriff Scarlet Moon has left the Camarilla and has recently declared herself the Anarch Baron of South Charleston. The Camarilla is weak as it has ever been, though not Hank Coulter. Hank has solidified control of most of the unions in Charleston, and all but has his fingers in every pie that makes every part of this city move. It's disgusting. But your accounting ended about a year ago. Tell us, Lark, did you return to your priestly duties once your accounting was finished?
The moment I could, I returned to my duties. Just being free again, but it didn't feel the same.
Sure. Of course, you were free to return to St. Mary's because the priests that were there had all moved on. Lay priest Father Colin McKenna is now working in the Archdiocese office. The head priest seemingly moved on to a different diocese. So just like an old glove over a blood-stained hand, you fit right back in. It's on this night, sitting in your office at St. Mary's. One of the few remaining landlines in all of Charleston rings on your desk.
I pick it up.
You're, hello? Hi, is this Holy Mother St. Mary's Cathedral?
You are at the right address. How can I help you this evening? You're talking to Father Alaric here.
Oh, Father Winthrop. I was hoping I'd get a hold of you. We got somebody down here at his Arms of Grace, the assisted living facility.
I have heard of it, yes.
He says he was a member of the faithful there at your cathedral. His proctologist just left and said we should get someone for last rites, and you were the one on the books to call for this particular client.
Yes. Could you give me his name?
Theodore Rass.
I do remember him, yes.
He recalls you quite fondly.
Thank you for calling to me. I indeed am the one to call for such things, and I will gladly visit you tonight if that fits.
Yeah, the sooner the better. His vitals are decreasing quite rapidly.
Of course, I will be there in a moment.
All right, thank you so much. God bless. She
Blessed be.
hangs up the phone. Of course, you remember Theodore Rass from your first tenure here. He was a pretty active member of the church, always made sure to give up his 10% to God. You know, he very, not rigid, but definitely firmly in the practicing Catholic category. You also know that his Arms of Grace, the assisted living facility that he's in, is about a 10-minute drive over the river from Riverview into Kanawa City. You also know from your accounting that is technically Anarch territory, but duties are duties.
The moment I get the call, I do, if nothing else is stopping me at that moment, I do intend to get there as fast as possible, Anarch duty, Anarch territory, or otherwise.
You take your vehicle across the bridge into Kanawa City, quickly gathering your things before you leave. Like I said, it's about it ends up being a 6-minute drive because there's some traffic on the bridge. But you see this dreary, it's always strange. These assisted living facilities, they called them nursing homes when you were young. They're this strange temple to death. Just a slow, rotting kind. As you cross the gravel into the building, the clerk at the desk nods. She says, thank you for coming so quickly, Father. We really appreciate it. Room 303.
Thank you. You do not need to thank me. It's my duty and my honor to be here to help Theodore.
We just appreciate your expediency. She nods.
I'll see you when I leave.
Yeah. And as you begin to make your way through, Alaric, talk to us about how you became a Grim Reaper. Recount to me the first time.
The moment the act of feeding, of having to take sustenance, became clear as something that was now part of my existence, I, of course, struggled with it a little bit. There's something so vile about being a creature that has to survive on the energy and the life force of other beings. Sure, as a human, you ate meat from animals. Most often those animals died, but it all seemed natural back then. It all seemed like part of a normal plan that God created all of these species, but this just felt different. Taking this from a person, a human, often without them knowing. You could take it from animals, but that was never really an option in Hank's eyes. But then one night, when I came to do the last rites for someone, Sarah Smith's, I remember her. I hadn't often talked to her myself, but when I was sitting there next to her, hearing her confessions, trying to give her peace, trying to make her feel at ease knowing that God was listening to her, I couldn't help but think, in a rare moment where I let my monster speak, what if I could, in some vile way, use whatever I had, give these people, these followers, a peaceful last way to go into the afterlife? What if I helped them, and in turn they helped feed this vile being inside of me that for some reason needed to be fed? And so I drank from her as her heart was giving out, and as her soul had been lighted. And it still feels wrong. It still feels like I am polluting them for the afterlife. Perhaps I am stopping them from going there entirely. I do not know. I'm trying to ease my own thoughts by thinking that they have a good feeling. They don't have to feel anything but bliss in that last moment, but at least I can do something. I would like to believe, instead of just feeding on humans like a parasite, with them unknowing in the charade of some other act. It's despicable, but I'm here again.
You are here again. In this strange mix of commending one's soul to the Maker, only to feed the thing that damns you. You hear the prayer from 303 as you approach the door. It's a prayer you've heard many times. O blessed Saint Roche, patron of the sick, have pity upon those who lie upon a bed of suffering. Your power was so great when you were in this world that by the sign of the cross many were healed of their diseases. Now that you are in heaven, your power is no less. Offer to God our sighs and tears and obtain for us the physical and spiritual health we seek. Please, Saint Roche, free me of this cirrhosis of my liver. Please, Saint Roche, free me of this carcinoma in my skin. Free me, Saint Roche, from the addictions that led me here. This we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. As you enter the room and you see Theodore clutching a rosary hard to his chest. Theodore, of course, is in his early 70s, but he looks like he could be in his early hundreds in the condition that he's in. He's thin, the skin is stretched hard against bone. He looks up. Father Winthrop, you ain't aged a day, old son.
Evening, Theodore. I heard you praying before I entered. He, of course, moves into the room.
You could just call me Teddy. Father Winthrop, it's alright. Ain't no need to stand on ceremony more than you already do, you old codger.
Then I shall call you Teddy. Join me in doing the sign of the cross. And he
lifts his rosary and crosses himself. I think I'm dying, Father.
God is listening to you, Teddy, and I'm here to bring you peace. If God is listening to you, as he has always when you pray to him, as I've just heard now, let your sins be alleviated and let you pass on into the heavens after this. It is what all of us wish for.
I'm scared, Father. I was never really a good man. But I wasn't a bad one either. And there's that verse, I can't remember. I can't remember which one. Where he says, if you are neither hot nor cold, he'll spit you lukewarm out of his mouth. I just tried to do what I thought was best at the time.
We can never do is acknowledge the path we have taken and always try to do right by what we believe is so and by what guides us. And you, Theodore, have indeed not been a bad person. And with these final words, you can say that God is listening, forgiving you. He knows you seek forgiveness for those things you think you did wrong. And he hears you. You do not need to fear what comes after this, because you know what is coming after this. You can be certain that you won't feel any pain, that you will be blessed in his kingdom, and that you will get all the rewards that you have earned in this lifetime and in the ones before that.
You'll pray for me. Pray that my name's in St. Peter's book. You'll do that for me, Father Winthrop.
Just pray together. How about that, Teddy?
I think I can do that.
He starts a prayer and after every sentence stops to give Theodore a chance to repeat after him.
And he does for a while, but he's fading very quickly.
He notices, and as is right too, he does reach over and give a anointed cross on the forehead. Say, in his name. And as he is fading, the breaths becoming slower and slower and sparser, Alaric sits down on the bed, the edge of it, and he picks up Teddy's hand and just says, "Forgive me, oh God. Forgive me for my sins, and lead this person into your kingdom. Amen." And he lifts the wrists up and bites into it.
The last words of Theodore Rass as you bite in, as he says, "Amen." You feed for a long moment, Alaric. before you smell a different blood on the air. Kindred blood. So
I immediately stop.
you look up, you see
I
standing in the doorway, Keziah, weeping bloody tears.
I put away the wrist and I try to hide my face in shame as I take a moment to grasp that someone else is here watching this. And I look up and I recognize him. What are you doing here?
Can I come in?
Come in.
He shuts the door behind himself. Sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. I was here, and
You didn't mean to intrude on someone getting their last rites. Yet you did.
It's beautiful what you do for them.
I don't need to hear those words from you.
I'm not sure that I said them for you.
He of course, is standing up from the bed and honestly kind of looks a bit flustered in a way because he's never had anyone walk in on him.
Keziah moves to the side of the bed and kneels, taking Teddy's other hand in both of his and just pressing his forehead to the back of Teddy's hand. And he weeps.
Alaric just feeling oddly confused at what he is supposed to do in this situation. Feeling revulsion for Keziah, but then seeing this scene, he just lifts his rosary, kisses it, and looks up.
Go ahead and give me a wits awareness, if you don't mind.
That is 3 successes.
You see, with his head bent forward and the collar of his shirt kind of drifting down a little bit, you see horrible scars. I mean, deep inset, raised several inches alongside of fresh wounds, not fully healed.
What are you looking for here? Why did you come here?
I make my rounds at most of the homes in Charleston. I need to be reminded so I don't become like them. So I don't end up like Aunt Jolly. So I don't end up like Hank. I don't want to be like this. I want to be like them. I want to die someday. And I want to die a man. I want to die a man, Alaric.
An awful lot of wishes for a being such as us. To believe it is even possible to die like a man while we are like them.
They don't get to take that away from us. They can try and take everything else, but they can't take that away from us. We deserve to die like men. We deserve to pass on into the arms of our Creator when all of this is done.
Whether you think you deserve it or not does not matter anymore.
I can make it matter.
All we can do is ask and beg for penance again and again until God sees it fit for us to finally leave this realm. I do not seek forgiveness, for I know I shall find none. There is no forgiveness for the sins that I am living through at this moment, for the sin that I am.
I forgive you.
And if you wish to die like a man, perhaps you should just accept this fact as well and not seek forgiveness, because that is for humans and they shall find it and they shall find peace, but we will never find that peace. Because whether they deserve to or not, they took it from us. Now we have to deal with this.
He moves in a blur of speed. So he's standing right on the edge of uncomfortably close. I know you understand. I don't want to be forgiven for what I did. Aunt Charlie made me. I was coming home drunk from a party. I didn't even realize that I'd hit those people and I killed them. I didn't know. It was stupid and I killed people and I don't want to forget and I don't want to be forgiven for that. I did that. I can't give them people their lives back. But I can make sure the rest of these fucking animals that made us what we are don't get to go on living their lives like nothing ever happened. I can make them pay.
He takes a step back, not fully being comfortable being this close. And he does the sign of a cross again. As he looks up and he says, "For he created the monster to fight the monsters, the shadows to hide, the evil to fight evil. And that is what we shall do in all our nights to come, as long as he sees fit to, until it is our time. We will never find rest. All we can do is repent."
I guess you're right. I'll leave you to it, Father.
I think that is best.
He wipes the bloody tears away, stuffs the tissue paper in his pocket. You're not like the rest of them. You're like me. He walks out the door.
He just, not saying it out loud, but just shakes his head in anger at the fact that he would like to believe that they are a different kind from their makers, while Alaric just says, "In the end, we are all monsters." He makes sure that there are no signs on Theodore of anyone, of any blood, of anything, and he just picks up the small Bible that's on the bedside table of Theodore and puts it in Theodore's clasped hands on his chest as he leaves the room.
As you walk down this hallway, Alaric, and time moves forward to this year of our Lord, 2023. Tell us about your haven as we get a look at it. This place where Alaric dies and is reborn again each night. In the neighborhood of Riverview, quite near your church.
It's a smaller, standalone house, not that far from his church. It's, the basics, blank, like, white wooden boards making out the outside of it, a chair or two on the lawn of it, on the front steps, and it seems bland. He might, when the seasons are there, put up some decorations just to bring joy to those who would walk past, but he doesn't really care for it. And inside, it's just as nice, warm. He does try to make it inviting in the case that someone would be there, but it doesn't really have a soul in it, as much as he tries to make it so. And to most people, they don't stay in there long enough to really feel that.
Sure.
So it's all he needs, and he doesn't want to live into the fantasy any more than he has to. The fantasy that he needs all of this and that this is his normal life.
You've been awake for the evening for about an hour, getting ready to go to work, things of that nature. And your doorbell rings.
I try to have a pleasant look on my face as I go over to open it, see who's outside.
You see a man standing on the porch. He's got a cream undershirt, wearing kind of a brown suit over the top. He's tall and gaunt, looking a bit like the caricature of the dangers of heroin use. Freakishly thin, but his deep brown eyes are so deep. As he smiles.
Evening.
My. Father Alaric Winthrop. Now, I thought the rumors of you were just there, tattling and, children telling tales out of class. I didn't think to find myself a fine, upstanding kindred like yourself here in Riverview. May I come in? And you've never met this man before, but he seems quite familiar with you.
Alaric was having this pleasant look on his face, not knowing who this person was, and from the looks of them, maybe thinking they were someone seeking help or anything like that. But the moment this person says kindred and uses those kinds of words, the pleasant facade immediately drops to one stone cold, slightly detestful look. I think we are quite fine standing where we are.
Oh, my.
What is it you seek?
Is it not well with you that two men of faith might commune in fellowship inside of your domicile?
I do not much care for letting other monsters inside my home. One inside is already enough.
Oh, well.
Now, what is it you seek here?
Oh,
with me?
Just a private conversation, preferably in the warmth of your own home. That's all. Fellowship.
We do not need warmth.
Oh, now. So cold. You get that from your sire, don't you? He and I have never quite seen eye to eye. I find that our kind are most in need of warmth, in need of fellowship. True fellowship, not whatever that parade they walk you through in the ivory tower is.
And yet, whatever you are speaking about, we do not deserve.
Well, I am unfortunately a man of Protestant faith, so I believe that is where the two of our differences in beliefs begin to diverge. I believe despite what we are deserving of kindness. Both giving and receiving. Please. Would you mind if we were to move somewhere more private? If not your home, then perhaps. There's a diner I know close by. Perhaps we can have a seat there. Would that be alright with you?
He thinks about it for a second. Initially wanting to react by just cutting this person off, whoever they are, and tending to his own. But the thing that does stay with him is the fact that this person said they didn't see eye to eye with his sire. Now with that, he says, "Fine, I shall meet you in this diner."
I do quite admire your dialects, the flair of the old country, as it were. It's quite delightful. And he writes down on a scrap of paper from this little book, pulls it out, hands it to you. He says, I can meet you there in, what would you like, an hour, 30 minutes perhaps?
Make that 2 hours and I shall be there. I first have my business to tend to.
Well, of course. I look forward to seeing you again tonight. And
he just steps back.
This man turns and walks down the steps, hops in a cream white Cadillac, and drives away, leaving you at the address of this diner.
He does first go to his church. Being seen there, probably doing some kind of mass earlier on in the evening nights. It's already quite late, so around midnight is probably, or a little bit before that. And after he does his duties, at around the 2 hour mark, he will eventually make his way to this diner that was written down.
And you see that other than the woman standing behind the counter, the diner is completely cleared out. There is one car in, and it's that cream Cadillac. And you see Elliot sitting in a booth right by the window.
He will make his way inside and bid a good evening to the waitress before he...
It's strange. It's almost like she doesn't even notice you're there. She looks vacant.
He, already having an inkling of an idea, he goes to the booth and sits down. Did Elliot already give his name?
No.
I don't think he did. So, who am I talking to exactly?
I'm Pastor Elliot Vicenza from down at the Blood of the Covenant Church of Christ. It's always so nice to have another conversation with a man of the cloth. I find people often misinterpret what we do. Do you feel the same way?
I think whatever I feel on that matter doesn't apply here because it has already become clear that our ideals are different.
Is that right? And here I was thinking that from all the rumors and tales I've been hearing out of class, that you was a man who liked to think for himself, to worship God in his own personal way. You were never one to let the opinions of others break your spirit or blunt the fire of your passion for the Lord. Was I wrong?
My faith differs and has nothing to do with my beliefs on our kind and what our kind deserves or doesn't deserve. Now, I'm not here to chit-chat with someone else, although they are from faith and they do believe they are still a monster just as I am. What is it that you seek from me? There's a reason you came to my doorstep knowing who I am.
Well,
trying to connect to me as being similar to each other.
Well, as I'm sure you know from your years as a kindred, that there are two predominant sects among our political parties, shall we say. Your ivory tower, sitting up there looking down on poor folks, pretending that their shit don't stink. And then there's what I am, my dear boy. I am an anarch baron. I am the Baron of Conway City. I have a coterie of folk beneath me, kindred mean, real mean to the bone. But they're good at what they do, I see. I wanted to offer you a way out of your ivory tower. To find, even if you don't wish to fellowship among us, to at least be free to pursue your own life at your own whim. Without great needs for past subjugation or veiled threats, chains both seen and unseen. That is not how we operate, my son. Now, if we were to make a deal, I could offer you protection from your Camarilla. Well, they would no longer be your allies now, would they? And I promise you, in that agreement, I would need but very few things from you. A favor, perhaps once a month, and I'll rid you of them. I will protect the entirety of the domain that you live in here. Did you know you are the only kindred with a haven in Riverview? I wonder why your tower, if they truly valued you at all, would leave you out here so alone. Now, I do not offer you this because I value you in any way. I don't want to seem like I'm blowing smoke up your ass. I can tell you don't appreciate that sort of behavior. I want the territory that you live in. Let me be very clear. I just know that in the offer of my protection, you also get what you want. And Lord, if I'm not a man for celebrations and for all parties of business getting what they want, I forgive all of my debts every 7 years, just as the Bible says. I'm a man of equity, Father Winthrop. All I want from you is a favor once a month. And you likely won't hear from me again. Now, if you want me to be particular about the folk that I'm keeping away from you, I would ask that you join a coterie. This coterie that I've put together. And then I will make sure that Hank Coulter cannot touch you.
Is there anything that you think would help my decision to know about your past with Hank?
Oh, it's less of a past, really. I'll say it like this. Way before your time, when your grandsire, Agnosticus Carlyle, was running the show for Clan La Sombra here in Charleston, he tried to take my city from me, Conroe City. Boy, we were called Owens back then. It was quite a long time ago, before we were ever really a part of Charleston proper. And they tried to take my city by brute force. I sent your sire Agnosticus to his grave. And he was much more powerful than Hank Coulter. If there is any doubt that I could protect you, I put his daddy down like a dog, and I will put him down like a dog if I must.
Let me make one thing clear before I give you any sort of answer.
Oh, I do like
I
how
do
you
not
say that.
need
answer.
you. I do not need you to put down a dog. I will put down dogs myself. If I agree to this, you will not touch Hank Coulter.
Seems like a backward kind of bargaining, but I do appreciate that sort of thing. You have my word.
Don't misunderstand me. I would love to be free and not have to see him ever again, but that also means that you do not touch him. If anyone puts him down, it will be me.
There's that Sombra clandestinity. Of course, you have my word.
Then just to be clear between the two of us, so there are no misunderstandings. I know that you are a devil yourself, and that there will be things you are hiding even from me. But I promise you that in the end, if you seek penance, I will also give it to you. Let there be a promise from me.
I live my life in service to him. Now, on my own effort of clarity. In addition to joining this coterie that I have assembled, the favor that I would need of you. Your bloodline is familiar with the necromantic arts, am I correct?
They are.
Once a month, I would need you to bring me, I believe my good Jessica called it a feta. An object to which the spirit of the deceased are, how should you say, tied. Specifically of one who's died in their sleep. Do you find this acceptable?
I'll like things on this for a second. And I mean, there's the obvious thing, right? He would never want to make a deal with any of his kind. They're all deceptive. They're all sinners. And just being at this table, having this long of a conversation with one, is making his blood boil. But then he remembers every so often those moments where he would not be able to hide from Hank. And he remembers being close to him. That feeling of fighting between not wanting to ever lay eyes on him again and wanting to keep your eyes glued on him forever. And he just thinks, if there is one way to distance himself even further, physically if he can, then maybe it's worth striking a deal with the devil. So with disgust at the situation and at himself, he will reach out a hand and say, I shall take your bargain, but know that I will always keep eyes on it and you as well.
Well, I would expect nothing less. He shakes her hand.
Alaric immediately moves to stand, but he looks at the waitress, looks back at Elliot, says, that is your doing, I presume.
Oh, I can't help that. It's a affectation of my blood, unfortunately. I assume you'd like to know something about this coterie that I'm asking you to join, or would you like to learn on the fly?
You can write all the details down and give them to me. I don't much care for being in a conversation any longer than this.
Well, perhaps they should just tell you. You should know there's going to be a student-led protest at the city capitol complex, the state capitol complex, tomorrow. You should be there to show your support. That is my formal declaration of my seizing control of Riverview. The coterie will meet you there, and perhaps they can explain to you your newfound purpose. It is probably best coming from them.
He leans over on the table. Never dare speak about my purpose in this existence ever again. It is not yours to know, and you shall never know it.
I just meant the purpose of the coterie, Father. Please forgive me if I misspoke. That is the job of a priest, right? To dole out forgiveness?
It is not the job of a priest, it is the job of God. Only he will. And he leans back again. Now then, I shall pray that you find penance.
And I shall pray that you find joy. In your freedom, that is.
He turns on his heels. Then starts walking out of the diner.
And as you leave the diner with the knowledge that there is a protest happening tomorrow night and that a coterie of kindred will be there to meet you, this is where we will end Prologue 5, the final prologue in the eyes of God. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next time.